Dave, can you just tell us, obviously, with this push for a female competition, where does it sit with the AFL now and timelines and that sort of thing?
Yeah, look, I think as a club, first of all, I think it's a really exciting opportunity for us to broaden the spectrum for our female component to get involved in the game. I think where it's at is they're still working through what that model looks like, what the longer term piece. We know that Gil's pretty keen to move it forward as quick as he can, and I think there'll be that interim step in this year and next year, however many games it pulls together. We're not quite sure just yet, but certainly we think we're well positioned to make a start with it, and the advisory committee is a great move forward for us to get into that infrastructure piece that we need to be ready for.
The expectation isn't that there will be a team from every set AFL team, is it? There might be a certain number of licences. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, there's a mixture of that thought. I think long term, possibly a team from every club. I think that would be what they'd like to have. Whether or not we have the capacity to support that as an industry is something that they'd probably work through. So I think in the interim, they're looking at the strategic piece as to where and who best positions the initial teams, where they can place those teams in the marketplace. We're not quite sure whether it's all out of Melbourne, whether it's in the developing states, whether it's the traditional states, but certainly we'd love to be the club that gets the team here.
How big a debate was there in-house before you decided this is something you do want to pursue?
No, none at all. There wasn't a debate about it. It was purely that's where we think 40% of our market is females, and that support is there, and to broaden the opportunity for women in our game, not only to play the game. Like, I think the groundswell underneath for females to actually play the game is unbelievable, but I think it's the talent as well that we're able to use in the industry from an administrative perspective, football perspective. I think it just broadens the whole scope for females to get into the actual industry.
So Adelaide deserved a team before Port Adelaide, given the fact you had an AFL licence first. Does that give you the front run?
No, I don't think it does at all. I don't think it comes down to that at all, Andrew. I think it's just the capacity for someone to be organised, have the infrastructure together, look at how the talent pathways come together, how you can build that talent. We probably feel that, I think as a state, working with the SANFL, we're probably a little bit short on the development of that talent. So they've taken some steps, and we think we can help progress that talent direction and that talent pathway.
Are you ahead of Port, do you think, in this race?
Oh, look, I'm not sure. To be honest, we don't have anyone that's come from Port with intel from there. We just know that we're well organised. We've got people in place. We're working towards the infrastructure, and the strategic piece for us, as I'm sure it is for Port, is that it's an important aspect in our game going forward.
How far are you in terms of planning with infrastructure and that sort of thing? I mean, have we looked at where we'd have a women's change room here and timing, availability on the oval, that sort of stuff? Are we at that stage yet?
We're probably touching on that stuff now, Pete, I reckon, in regards to what that whole infrastructure piece looks like, facility-wise, opportunity-wise, game-wise, all of those questions, and that's why we put that advisory group together. I mean, you talk about, Jane Woodlands-Thompson bringing some intel in regards to how she's put that together from a netball perspective. We've had some great conversations around what that infrastructure looks like. I mean, she's had to put a range of talent and pathways together, sometimes on the smell of an oily rag. So you're able to work with someone like that that's got such a well-rounded person and great experience that can come in and help establish that infrastructure. I mean, that's part of why we wanted Jane to come on board, because she can actually help address a lot of those issues.
Have you got an idea of what the team might look like sort of in the interim before a national comp is set up, in terms of where they play or whether they play at all?
Well, I suppose, Harry, like last year we hosted the SA group, and before they played in the curtain raiser before our game, I think round 3. So we hosted the girls here, and we had a training session, and I think that's a great step forward if we could create more opportunities for the girls to play, amongst a group of a squad that can come together. Hence, that's why we want all the women to register at Women's AFL at afc.com.au, because that will help us coordinate that pathway and put together the trials going forward. So it's no different to the talented pathway. I was lucky enough to be involved in the New South Wales ACT Rams when they came into the TAC Cup, and through New South Wales we had to put together a number of hubs that allowed the growth of that talent. And once you create the pathway, I'm telling you, the talent will come. Once you've got those abilities for that talent to then see an avenue to go to and a direction that they're able to grow, it comes very quickly.
So with the talent right now, it's totally open.
Yep.
You just need to apply. Is that the only?
Yeah, that's just register, and once we've got some more advice from the advisory committee, that's not complete just yet. We're still working through a number of different people that we think can help us construct the trials, bring some intelligence around the differences that it is to coach men to coach women, hence Jane coming on board. So we're very attuned as to what that difference needs to be, but getting some expertise to help us.
Can it be successful, a women's
Yeah, I think it
national
can.
league?
Yep.
What sort of crowds are we talking here and all that sort of stuff?
Well, look, I'm not sure that it's going to be built necessarily around the crowds. It'll be a combination, I would think, between crowd and TV. We know that that's the big driver with, the TV deal with the players' rights and the CBA. So I think it's going to be a collective push, I think, between the two, Andrew. That's my belief. And yeah, I think it'll be a combination. I don't think, are we going to have it at Adelaide Oval with 50,000 people? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that it'll find its own level when it gets here, but certainly we're ready to give it a go.
Just why Hugh Greenwood mentioned that there's no basketball ring allowed inside the clubhouse for fear of injury.
Not in the change rooms.
Have you got one in, none in there at all? Is that a bit over the top with the injury situation, or was that just why have you made that decision?
No, well, that's actually it's not Don's thought process, so he might find that there's one up in a few weeks' time. Santa might deliver one over Christmas and we might put it up in the gym somewhere.
But before, what was the reason behind it before?
I think it's just a different coach's perspective on how they want them. When I was coaching, I didn't want guys doing certain other sports. I think when you're at the top end, it's less risk, so it's more about just creating the opportunities for them to not injure themselves. I mean, they could walk out of here and trip over a curb, and roll their ankle. So we're certainly not going to have 5-a-side or 3v3 up in the gym. So, but if it's something that Don's happy with, we'll put one up there for him to shoot. We've got a few that can throw a 3-point, I reckon.
Absolutely.
So,
guys, just what was your role again with the Rams back in the day?
I was the head of the talent pathway, so I coached the New South Wales ACT Rams in the State League up then in the National. So yeah, we worked all across New South Wales and ACT. We relocated a number of guys through New South Wales to Canberra. So the understanding of bringing a group together, and relocating players, women if we need to over a period of time, if that's what it takes, and recruit. Well, we think we've got some expertise to work through that mechanism.
Dave, let's clarify. So there will be some sort of women's league in 17. Is that what the?
Yep.
There definitely will be.
Yep. And then what that shape looks like this year, so is we're not sure whether there'll be a number of extra games outside of the normal Melbourne Bulldogs game. We're not sure, but we'll see how that unfolds.
Excellent.
So could you have any team playing anything in 2000? You said you're Melbourne.
Possible.
You could have a team
Yeah,
next
possible.
year play exhibition match.
Could do. We certainly. I mean, we had the curtain raiser this year with a state group, and a number of those girls got drafted into that game. So anything's possible. Create the pathway. Let the women know the opportunity, and then we can start to work with what we've got.
And that could be a TV type of hands. I mean,
Could be.
The game last year was well watched.
Absolutely.
I understand.
Yep. Absolutely.